Sorry, we're a few minutes late. Those of you who know my teleworkshops expect some kind of technical difficulty, so I'm true to form. Nick, you want to say
Welcome,
hello? There
everybody.
you are. Good.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you all and to be here with you, Art. Art and I have been
Real
talking
pleasure
about
to be
doing
here with you,
something
and I'm
together
really
for
looking forward to this.
Yes, me too, me too.
At least on mine, your volume is a little low, but maybe that's just my
Yeah,
computer.
I hear you
I know Nick
clearly.
is calling in from a hotel room. I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me clearly?
I can now. It faded for a minute there.
Okay. Well, I'm at a hotel in Sonoma and relying on their internet to broadcast this, so hopefully it'll go smoothly.
Great, great, great. A lot of people are a bit late getting on themselves, so maybe it was a fortuitous problem. But let's get started.
Okay, great.
And let me start on the other one you introduced me, so let me start by introducing you. Um, of course, everybody's looking at me now, but hi, I'm Art Giser, and I'm introducing my friend and associate and colleague, Nick LaForce. Uh, Nick's been an NLP trainer since sometime in the 80s when we met, and he travels around the world teaching NLP, both and hypnosis for people to be coaches for personal transformation. He also does corporate work, and in the last few years, he's really come out of the closet with his love, which is poetry, and carving out a very unique field called transformational poetry. And of course, I'll let him explain that. And Nick and I first taught we've known each other since the 80s, and we taught a practitioner and a master practitioner course in NLP together since the early 90s. And we've been saying ever since that how great an experience it was for us and for the participants, and that we've been wanting to do it again. So here we are. So I'll hand it over to you, Nick.
Yeah, yes. In fact, it's been my pleasure to know you for all these years, Art. I was just thinking it's been 30 years since we met practically now, and that's a real, I think, testament both to my admiration of you and to watching both be participating with you on a journey together and watching what you've gone through over the years. Because one of the things, I mentioned this before in the last time we did our little introduction to the course, so one of the things I've always admired about you, Art, is that you really have been on a dedicated quest, I would call it, for years with the spiritual realm. And I remember in the early 90s when we first started doing that training and you began talking about that, how fascinated I was with what you were doing, but also how impressed I was with your intent to learn those skills and to pursue that. And I believe, in fact, one of the main quests in life is what I would call a mastery quest. We go on a quest to learn, to grow and develop some skill or talent, and we don't necessarily have a vision of what it's going to be like at the end. We just do what we can to learn and to grow that, and I think you're a real model of that. So first of all, I want to give you a compliment for that. And Art is not just known for his work with the spiritual realm, but for his work in NLP. He's been an international NLP trainer as well for years, has done coaching and consulting in the corporate world as well as with individuals, and it's always just been a pleasure to work with you and to have the friendship that we've had. So I'm glad to be here at this point in time again. And as Art mentioned, we've had this desire to do something together for a long time, and it just so happened to turn out a few weeks ago that we were talking. I mentioned I was going on this quest and questing about what it is to quest, and Art mentioned that he's been interested in that topic for years as well. So we thought, what a perfect thing for us to do together. So that's how this came up.
Sorry. Yeah, and I want to say to everybody, Nick will be talking about different ways to think about what a quest is. Just as sort of a teaser, I'd like to say that it turned out independently, both of us for years and years have noticed how sometimes people throw roadblocks in their lives and feel bad about themselves because there's just so much pressure nowadays You have to have clear, definable goals. And I see all kinds of things on the internet about nothing will happen without goals, and you have to know where you're going if you're going to get there, and on and on and on. And it's not just in the corporate world. And as Nick mentioned, I work with Fortune 100 companies, and of course we talk about goals, and they're very important. And in the spiritual world, there's been an increased emphasis on goals and goals and goals and goals. And we're certainly not saying that that isn't a good thing. And what we are saying, I'll quote the physicist. A lot of you won't know who Niels Bohr was, but he was one of the physicists who created quantum physics and one of the major both scientific minds and philosophical minds of the 20th century. And he said something to the effect of, you know something's a deep and profound truth because the opposite is likely to also be true. And while being able to have clear goals and be strategic and to go for them is a really important life skill, I would say a greater life skill is to be able to quest. And I know the most amazing things in my life all came out of quests, not out of goals that I was making come happen. And I hear many, many people say the same thing. So again, we salute and appreciate all the important work done on goals, and we feel like the scales have gotten way, way tipped,
Yes.
and that we've lost sight of what humanity has known about for a long time, which is why so many myths are about quests. So I'll turn it over to you, Nick.
Yeah, I totally agree. In fact, I think a quest is really the essence of the human spirit. And I would say that when you think about the major endeavors of the human adventure on the planet, they can really be considered quests. Like science is a quest for knowledge about the universe and trying to understand how the universe works. And spirituality is a quest for meaning or understanding or our place in the universe. Philosophy is a quest for wisdom. So you can think of all the major endeavors that humans have, and they're really a form of a quest. We're on a search to find out answers or to discover something or to create something, and that quest format or framework really, I believe, is the essence of the human spirit. It's when we come and have this earth walk, some part of us is engaged in a larger, you could say a larger process than just aiming for a target and accomplishing a specific goal or set of goals in the world. And as Art was saying, they blend, they complement each other. You can be on a quest and have goals that are part of it. You can have a goal and have a quest that's part of that goal. So really they can complement each other. It's not one or the other. We just want to bring back the beauty and the power of questing and help people understand what skills and what mindset, what kinds of tools can help you to quest successfully. And so that's why we're here, to help you to be able to do that more effectively in your life. And so I'll give it back over to you.
Well, very well said. And I will be able to get the slides up here in a minute, Nick.
Okay.
So, and I had never thought about this idea of quests. And then my mentor in NLP, an amazing, amazing woman named Leslie Cameron Bandler, who just, I was thrilled to have her as my mentor. And people would come in from all over the world to study with her because she just had so many amazing insights and was unbelievable at helping people end problems and open up to their inner abilities. And one time she just, I don't quite remember, it might have been spontaneous. She goes, well, there's two ways that people can make things happen in life. And one she called it the make it come true. And the make it come true is where you have a clear goal and you find out how to do the steps and you do them. And she goes, but the other one, and this was back in the 80s, I think, she goes, the other one is the quest. And the quest is, if you think about knights looking for the Holy Grail, or people who, seekers after truth or knowledge or spiritual awareness in the old stories, they don't really know what they're after. They just know there's something there. And they have a yearning to find it and create it. And then what she said was, she notices how often people get critical of themselves and really shut down their lives because they're on a quest, but they're trying to do a make it come true. And then they feel bad about themselves. So to give a simple example, again, this is right back in the 80s, I had worked with this one man. He was a business client. He went, I was wondering if you could work with my father. He's about to retire. He's done the same work for however 40 whatever years, and he's really in a bad way about it. And I went, sure, I'd be happy to see him. And I did a number of things with the father, but the main thing I did is realized he was beating himself up because he didn't know what he was going to do next. And I just went, you've just spent 40 years dedicated to a career. You're not supposed to know what to do next. I mean, if you did know, that's fine, but you've been really focused on what you've been doing. What you're on now is a quest to discover what you want to do in the next phase of your life, and give yourself time to explore and try things, and you'll find out what you want to do. And his son told me later, completely changed his father's. Father went from being depressed and negative to really happy and looking forward to retiring. And all I did was relieve him from this burden of thinking he was supposed to have figured it out. So that was really the first time I saw like how important this distinction was. And I've been teaching it in my programs ever since. And many, many people told me they found it a critical thing to know.
Yeah, me too. In fact, I have been teaching this distinction in my classes over the years. And for me, part of it also came about from my own personal experiences. And when I was a senior in high school, my best friend in high school named Rich was dating a woman named Monica, and they had been dating throughout high school. And in the last year of near the end of high school, Monica broke up with Rich, and Rich was just devastated by this. He came over to my house, and he was in tears every night, and my heart was hurting for him, and I wanted to help him, but I didn't really know how. And I actually made a vow at that time that I would learn how to help people. That's what made me go in search, on a quest, you could say, to learn skills to help people. But I also went on a more specific quest at that time. That is, I went around interviewing people to find out how they got through potentially devastating situations in life. And I eventually formed that question. And anybody that was willing to talk to me, I would ask them, did you go through something potentially devastating? And if so, how did you get through? How come you're still walking around on 2 feet, relatively normal? And I found in that process all these incredible and interesting things that had happened to people and what they did to get through them. So for me, I didn't have a goal that I was going for. I wasn't trying to get to a particular place. I had this question, and the question was guiding me on this exploration. And that, in some respects, that question has still been active in my life. I come back to it at different times and go away from it, but it's been an active question. How do people get through potentially devastating situations? So for me, I've always had a sense of quest and the power of quest, and in my classes I would teach that distinction and help people to recognize that possibility. And then recently, on this new stage of my life, when I decided to go on another formal quest, I really became curious about, in a deeper way, about questing. So now a quest I'm on is, how do you quest? How do you do? What mindsets and skills go into questing? And I think, as you were saying, Art, when you hold that idea, just the idea of a quest, it opens possibilities and opens a doorway that having a goal or aiming for a target does not.
Very well.
Are you able to get up the slides?
Give me one moment. I think I've got... Yeah, I have hope. I'm turning on the screen share so you can keep saying interesting things, and I'll tell you when the slides come up.
Yeah, so just kind of a quick note on that. A few years ago, as Art mentioned, I started advocating and promoting my work as a poet, and it was really only about 2 years ago that I declared in a class that I'm a poet. Prior to that, I had shared poems and had offered poems in classes and often gotten really good feedback. That was where I felt I had my strongest voice and I spoke with the most power, but I never declared myself a poet. So 2 years ago I said I'm a poet. A year ago I formulated this idea of being the transformational poet, and what that means is that I believe poetry is a tool for transforming experience into wisdom. And I think that's one of the most useful skills in life, is to be able to transform our experience into wisdom. And poetry is one of the most powerful ways to do that. So I call it transformational poetry, partly for that reason, and partly also because I use it as a tool in transformational work with people. And then this year, at the beginning of this year, I declared to myself that I would go full-time as the poet, even though I don't know what that is. And so that set me off on the quest about questing and how people do that successfully. So one thing that you can do is, in your own mind right now, is when you hear...
I'm going to talk... If I can interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
Hang on 1 minute. Let me see if I can get the screen share on. I apologize, everybody. I've never had this problem before. I don't know why. Oh. Give me a second. And Nick, did you check and see if you have access to screen share?
Let me check.
Oh, actually, don't answer me. It's on me now. Let me see if I can get this to show. Again, I apologize why this isn't working.
Well, it gives me the...
I got a new high-speed internet connection today, partially for this call, and
you want me to try it, Art? I can pull up the dialog box for it.
But if not, then Nick, maybe we should just... You couldn't? Yeah, I can, but it won't switch. So what I would say, maybe just read from the slides, and if people want them, we could always put it out as a PDF and send it to them.
Well, I just pressed screen share on mine.
They are very pretty, but since we can't see them.
Anybody, did it show up? I just pushed screen share from mine, from my control panel, and it said that it was going to do it, but I don't know that it did. Doesn't look like it did, huh? Nope. Can you see them on my screen, Art?
Yeah. No. So I think we should give up on it and just get on with things. And if people are interested, we could always send them a copy of the slides. But
right. Exactly.
Why don't we just work thumb them?
Okay. Great. So what I'd like you to do as a beginning, I mentioned earlier, I started to get to this point, is when you think of the word quest, just notice what kind of experience that brings up for you and how that is different than when you think of the word goal. I found that with a lot of people, when they think of the word quest, certain associations tend to go with that. One of the associations is that a lot of times people think about adventure. They think about going on a search. They think about treasure. You know, the quest for the Holy Grail, so it sometimes has a spiritual quality to it. And for many people, it opens a wider field than a goal does. So typically, when people think of goal, they tend to narrow their focus to a point in the future, a destination, or a target they're aiming for. Whereas when you think of a quest, it tends to widen the future. It's more like a horizon or a direction, and therefore opens possibilities and opens greater engagement with the world than a goal does. So I think just holding the frame that you're on a quest can begin to open new possibilities for you in a way that a goal does not. So I've been exploring with people what the word quest brings to mind and what the difference is between a quest and a goal. And a little bit of that I've just explained a bit of, but when you think of a goal is typically something that's specified in advance. You define what it is that you want to have. It's result-oriented. Oftentimes it's something that you have a measurable aspect to it. You know you've arrived because you've accomplished specific things. A goal typically has targeted timelines. With a goal, you want to define the path as precisely as possible, and you want to control the variables as much as possible so that you have the least distraction and the most efficient progress to accomplish the desired result. So a goal aims for certainty, and it really is built around specificity. Whereas a quest is really more a process of discovery. The word quest comes from the same root as the word question, which is to search or seek. A quest oftentimes is much more of an experiential process. It's about the journey as much as it is about the result. A quest typically is very open-ended, which is how you get that widening effect with the future. A lot of times on a quest, you don't know your next step or the step beyond this step until you take it. In other words, you take an action or you do something on a quest that gives you the information to know what to do next. And sometimes you can't know all of the steps in advance because it is a process of discovery. So the end result is that a quest really is a more ambiguous, uncertain, open process. It engages kind of a relationship with ambiguity, and it's really based on discovery. So a goal is specifying and controlling, and a quest is discovering and unfolding.
And if I can add, Nick, one way to think of it is on a quest, there's this desire for certain life experiences rather than for a specific thing.
Exactly, yes. Yep, a quest is an experiential process, and a lot of quests are for experiences. In fact, one kind of quest, I call it an experiential quest, is for pleasure or adventure or some kind of experience that the person wants to have more of in their life, and they go questing for that experience in different ways. But the challenge for a lot of us is that we're in a world that really focuses on goals, and so we try to fit our endeavors into a goal approach. And the second challenge for all of us, and this relates to both goals and quests, is that we live in a world where we're, from the moment of our birth and before, we're programmed or we're indoctrinated to believe certain things are what we should have as goals or what we should want in life or are what our yearning is about, when in reality they may not be at all. In fact, I wrote a poem. I'll share the beginning part of it. The poem is called The Birthplace of Your Dreams, and the first few stanzas of it go, "So many of your dreams come from the wants and needs of the world, or the hearts and minds of others, and not from the yearning in your own soul. So many of your dreams come from the wants and needs of the world, or the hearts and minds of others, and not from the yearning in your own soul. So give your dreams wings, set them free, let them go to the home where they belong. Those that are really yours will come back to roost in your heart." So this idea that we may be living, we may be living towards a goal that we've taken on, or a quest that we're on, that may not actually be our own. I think one of the things I really love about the work you do, Art, is that you're really good at helping people to start to separate and tease out these things in their life so that they can get down to their own essence, their own authentic self. In fact, when you think about the word authentic, same word that is involved with author, the meaning behind that, the original meaning behind that is to be your own actor in the world, to be your own agent in the world. So to author your life is to act from yourself. And I think this is the key ingredient in being able to quest successfully, is to tease these out and know our own yearning and to live from that place. If you can do that, I think you really have probably the basic and most powerful skill that's useful for questing successfully. And I think also for accomplishing goals in many ways. It also applies in that arena as well. So what Art and I talked about... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to, one thing we haven't told people, so where we're going, pretty soon we're going to start doing some processes to really clear the things that we're about to talk about, clear unconscious programming, other people's thoughts and opinions and energy out of your space and your goals. And then we're going to be doing work to open you up to guidance from your own inner wisdom and your own spirit, so that when you quest from that place of being guided by your wisdom and spirit, life is an incredible, amazing experience. And probably everybody listening has had that experience at times where they just knew what to do or they knew what not to do. And I remember when I was first studying NLP, people were going, "You're spending all this time and money studying this. What are you going to do with it?" And I would go, "I have no idea. But I feel the truth that I'm supposed to do it, and I'll figure out what I'm supposed to do with it later. I don't need to know that yet. I know I should be doing this." And everybody's had experiences like that. And part of what Nick and I want is to get us out of being robots and operating out of programming from society, family, friends, no matter how well intended it is, and to open up to your inner wisdom and your spirit will guide you. It's not going to tell you what's going to happen, but it will guide you. So we're going to be doing work clearing the things that block you and opening you up. So that's where we're going. And I promise you before we end, we're going to be doing some very powerful processes.
Exactly.
And what Nick and I are doing, particularly Nick has been doing, is really setting the stage for this to happen.
Exactly. And within that context, it's oftentimes useful to start out with a vision of a future that already has that. So one of the beautiful things about NLP that I think made NLP flourish so well itself is that NLP is a solution-oriented approach to dealing with life, to handling life situations, to creating the kind of world and life that we want to have. And NLP was formed in a time when the field of psychology was much more interested in, the field of personal change was much more interested in overcoming problems than in aiming for and finding the kind of future you want to create. So what we're going to do is start out by having you do a little short process of creating a vision, you could say, of a future version of yourself that's already cleared out all the clutter that prevents you from being in tune with your own deep yearning and knowing yourself. And so for this, what I'd like you to do is to take a moment, kind of give yourself permission to set aside anything you might be doing, like a pen you're writing with. Give yourself permission to really just settle into yourself. Sometimes it's useful to close your eyes. That helps, or you can keep them open, whichever for you allows you to really take this time and know this is your time. And to just begin to relax a little bit, allow yourself to take a nice deep breath, and as you breathe out, you can let yourself find that center within you and center within yourself. And I'd like you to, as you breathe and allow yourself to relax and feel that comfort, to begin to imagine that you can, or you already have inside of you, a future version of yourself that's cleared out all of the clutter that interferes with knowing your essence. And whether you see it as a vision in your mind or whether you just know that it's out there in front of you in your future, I'd like you to imagine there's a version of yourself that has clearly connected with the essence of you, knows that essence, and is able to make decisions from that place, is able to act from that place. You don't need to know what that is exactly. I would just like you to notice and observe how that future version of yourself might stand, the posture of that future version of yourself, how that future version of yourself might move and walk, how that future version of yourself might interact with others, having that clarity, that deep sense of knowing one's essence, knowing your essence. How that future version of yourself might be able to make decisions more easily or naturally, and certainly decisions that are aligned with the core. I'd like you to have that sense that that future version of you is waiting, is out there in the future, beckoning and calling you forward. And what we're going to be doing over the next little while here together is going to help you begin to clear out some of that clutter so that you can move towards that future, step into that future self, and start to live and act from that place where you truly are your authentic self. So with that in mind, you can kind of come back here, reconnect with the webinar. And so what Art and I are going to be doing, as Art mentioned, with this kind of future version of yourself in mind, that sets a direction, kind of sets an intention for you. And from that, we're going to begin to guide you through a couple of processes that will help you to separate out the programming and other things that could be interfering with that essence and become clearer and more complete and more strong in your connection with that essence. And so this is where Art's expertise comes in. So I'm going to turn it over to you at this point, Art, and let you begin to help people make this clearing.
Well, thanks, Nick. And first, thank you for the process. Even though I have participated in processes like that before, I thought that was really powerful. And people might even want to put in the chat box if you noticed anything interesting. It's like, for me, I realize that version of me has this kind of slight smile on his face all the time, because he's not that he believes that everything's going to be easy or everything's going to immediately work out, but he just feels like I'm guided and I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. One of the things I tell people in my energetic NLP training classes is that my goal for them is that they'll make fewer decisions in life. And people often go, what? And I go, I want you to make fewer decisions. And they go, what do you mean? And I go, I want you to know more. I want you to more and more not have to decide, because you just are guided. And again, everybody listen, you've had those experiences where you just knew. Maybe you met somebody and you knew they were going to be a close friend, or you met somebody and you know, keep away from them, or you knew a job opportunity, you just knew certain things. And that's an ability all of us have. So we're going to do a clearing to start clearing out unconscious programming and other people's energy from your goals, so that you can start having authentic goals that are coming from your heart. And of course supported by your brain and your heart, but they really are your heart's desires. Now, for those of you new to energy work, I'll just give a couple of brief background things. This isn't faith healing. You don't need to believe that it works. All I ask people to do is to be openly skeptical. You know, go ahead, try things. I will just briefly say I managed a research lab at the University of California Medical School for 11 years. We were studying epigenetics, the effect of estrogen and progesterone on the cells of a woman's body. And so I have a very strong scientific background. My father was one of the early computer guys. I love logic. I've always, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a scientist when I grew up. And so I just want you to know, if you're interested, in spite of what you hear, there's an enormous amount of research that the human energy system is real. Of course, physics says that it's real, but that it's real, and that when people think, the energy shifts. And they've done study after study after study at places like Duke and Oxford and all over the world that has shown this to be true over and over and over again. So I just want to say that briefly, because I get tired of what Dean Radin calls the taboo in science against energy work, as if it's all just mumbo-jumbo mystical things, which it's not. It's not at all. It's pretty hardcore, just science hasn't caught up with it. So when we do these energy processes, my suggestion is you have the intention that your inner wisdom and your spirit are in charge of what happens for you. So my job and Nick's job is we're going to get the energy flowing really strongly, but we're not saying we know what you should do with it. Your own inner wisdom and your spirit will know what to do with it. And again, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. So what's important in this work is not effort, but there is intention and permission. And the intention I would like to suggest is that you have the intention that what we do in this session will wonderfully enhance your guidance and your ability to quest. Will wonderfully enhance your ability to feel guided and to quest. And the first meditation we're doing is to clear the societal, family, and other programming telling us that we have to figure everything out, that we're not smart enough, that we can't trust our own spirit, that we can't trust our intuition. And you know, again, if you leave it up to your inner wisdom and spirit, whatever you clear will be correct. If you try to figure it out consciously, you'll play this little tiny game. And there's no way your conscious mind can figure it out. But your inner wisdom knows, your spirit knows. And if you don't believe you have a spirit, then just go with your inner wisdom. The other thing is to be playful. In this form of energy work, the more you act like a playful 5-year-old, the more powerful the energy is. If you were 5 years old and I went, okay, we're going to bring in sparkling energies to clear these blocks, you would just giggle and do it. And you wouldn't go, am I doing it right? Or can I do it? Or somebody else doing it better? You wouldn't think of it like that. You just go, okay, all right, let's play with it. So again, I'm not asking you to believe anything, just asking you to see what happens. When the energy starts flowing, there's a number of reactions you can have. One is you may feel absolutely nothing, which is fine. Some of the best energy healings anybody ever gets, they don't feel anything. Because a lot of the energies I work with and that we'll be working with will be outside of your awareness. Other people feel really good and a little buzzy, good buzzy, you know, energized. Other people get really sleepy. All of these are good reactions. You may get a muscle twitch of somewhere in your body. In India, they call those kriyas. And sometimes as we release energy, our body will twitch. You may get a temporary ache or pain, but it will be temporary. And that's because sometimes as you're clearing the blocks, sometimes it's uncomfortable feeling temporarily. You may get wonderful visions. You may not see anything. And it's a good chance, because the energies are high frequency, that when Nick and I start talking to you again, you'll go, are we done? Did anything happen? I don't remember. And since you can all listen to the recording, I would invite you to just forget about that for now. You can always listen later, you know, to find out what I said in case. But again, in energetic NLP, we believe everybody has the spiritual right to run their own life. And I make people take a pledge at the beginning of classes not to believe anything I tell them. And they, at first they look at me funny. I go, I mean it. I don't want you to believe what I'm telling. I want you to discover your own inner wisdom and spiritual information. And we use the term in energetic NLP, miraculous self, for that. Okay, so enough talking. Everybody get comfortable. And if you don't want to do this, don't do it. By the way, if you're driving or anything like that, turn this off. Whether or not you believe the energies are going to be strong, they are. They're intended to get you to go inward, which is not what you want when you're driving. So never, ever listen to any of my work in a moving vehicle. Very bad idea. Okay, so get comfortable. If you find yourself being serious, access your inner playful child and just go, it's just a little game to do. Because if you like it, you can always do it again. You'll have the recording. So just let it be whatever it is. And let it be a quest, you know, take away the goal. So let it be a quest. Tell your miraculous self, your inner wisdom and spirit, that it's in charge of what happens. And then the programming will tell you to not to listen to yourself. It'll say listen to whoever the authorities were behind the programming. So if you want your miraculous self to be in charge, just right now, you have a right as a spiritual being to make decisions in your life. And just make the decision in a real calm way. That, you know, when people really in power, they just say things calmly. And just go, I give 100% permission for my miraculous self to be in charge of what happens for me. Period. Okay, now I'm going to ask your miraculous self to start sorting through your energy field and your unconscious mind and start identifying anything that it thinks is a block to your being spiritually guided, guided by your miraculous self, anything that it blocks you from having wonderful quest experiences in life that enhance your life and the life of everybody you care about. So just, again, declare that as your intention. You want those discovered. And then give 100% permission for the energy that's about to come in to start clearing those blocks. And as the blocks are cleared, they immediately get replaced by your inner wisdom and your spiritual information. So they immediately get replaced by your inner wisdom and spiritual information, which will always be better than the programming. Okay, take an easy deep breath and just relax and let this happen. This will just take a couple minutes. Easy deep breath. And just so you know, the energy is working all around your energy field. Your energy field's in your body and all around it. And a lot of people are familiar with the idea of chakras. I call them energy centers. Most people aren't aware that they're not just in your body. They're above your body, around your body, below your body. The ones above your head have an enormous amount to do with your being guided and questioned. So we're just letting the program them. And again, more is not necessarily better. Whatever your miraculous self wants to come out is called being replaced by your inner wisdom and the information from your spirit. Easy deep breath. Let the energy come into the top of your head, the inside of your head, the forehead, the back of your head, all throughout your head, clearing out programming and other people's opinions and energy about your goals and about your whether it's okay for you to quest and how you need to do it. While that continues, the energy goes through your throat and the throat energy center. It goes from the base of your throat all the way back up above your eyebrows. While that continues, it really starts clearing out your heart energy center in the center of your chest. And most of us have all kinds of blocks telling us, oh, don't know what your heart's desires are. You might not get them. You might be disappointed. And all of that it's just programming. It's not your wisdom and it's not your spiritual information. Even if you're 90 years old, it's not too late to desires. Because whatever age, whatever your situation, there's ways to live your heart's desires. I'm not saying all your financial fantasies, or if you wanted to be an astronaut or a ballerina, probably in your 90s that won't happen. But whatever was behind that, which is deeper than that, can still happen. We're going down to the solar plexus. That's below the sternum where the rib cage. That has a lot to do with your will and personal power, your ability to make things happen in life. And in questing, you really want that connected to your heart and your spirit and your soul. And there are many other important energy centers in the abdomen area, below your navel, inside the body, and at the base of your spine. And the one at the base of your spine has a lot to do with your relationship to physical reality and whether you'll let the universe and the world. And when you have, I know at times in my life I would do things, people go, weren't you afraid to do that? And I'd go, No, it never occurred to me that I wouldn't be supported. It didn't mean I might not get in difficult situations, but I, well, it'll work out, and and it will end up being a great experience. Maybe not every day or every night, and it would, and taken care of. Let the energy move through the energy channels in your legs, knees, your feet, and ankles. And of course, the energy centers and energy channels in your legs have to do with how you move through the world. Can you move through the world questing? Let the energy go out through your arms, hands, and your arms, of course, metaphorically and actually have to do with what you do in the world. And you want your soul, your spirit, and your heart, your inner wisdom connected to your questing. Easy deep breaths. Affirm that you want what we're doing to wonderfully enhance your questing and your spiritual guidance, your guidance from your miraculous self. Give 100% permission for that to happen now. Okay, as you're cleared energy, there's now more space in your energy field for your authentic essence. When we're clogged with other people's energy, we have to keep some of our real self outside of ourselves. Let your miraculous self bring in more of your authentic essence, along with supportive earth and universal energies. Stomp your feet, pat your body. If you have any questions or comments, quickly get them into the chat box. And I think we're ready for another poem, or if you have any comments first.
Yeah, first I wanted to make a few comments. I've been in workshops that you've done and have experienced energy guidance with you before, and one thing I always love is how thorough you are in making sure that you're attentive to all the details there. And so for me, that process was really, I could feel myself growing lighter, so to speak, as the process went on, and particularly when you were talking about some associations like the root chakra being how we manifest in the world and feeling supported on our life journey. And I think for me, particularly as I changed my life in a big way at this point in time, that connection there was a really powerful one, to make that and feel that sense of support, because I think I'm at a point in life where I feel that stronger than perhaps I have ever before, and also feel that I need that more than ever before. So that was kind of a nice reinforcement and reconnection with that. So thank you very much for guiding that process. I really loved that. And a couple of years ago, I was doing a program in Australia, teaching an NLP class in Australia at a place in near Perth, Australia, called Scarborough. And I was teaching in the afternoon, so I had the mornings off several days in a row. And I every morning would go walking along this really amazing beach in Australia. And Australia does have some wonderful oceans and beaches. And as I was walking along the beach over these days, this question began to form in my mind. And the question was, is the horizon you envision for yourself big enough to hold your dreams? And I think, particularly in line with what you were doing, Art, that a lot of us dream small or keep our possibilities limited because of the programming of the world, because of the acquired and inherited aspects that we have taken on and we carry with us. And that question, is the horizon you envision for yourself big enough to hold your dreams, became sort of a living reality inside of me. My opportunity to explore that and to expand my horizon. And out of it came this poem that I'd like to share that's called Horizon. On a clear day, the ocean offers an endless horizon, an edge to the world beyond which you cannot see, and has no perceivable destination. A mystery to ancient mariners who sail the unknown sea in search of undiscovered lands or seeking mythic treasures, because the ocean edge is wide enough for all you might imagine. It speaks to that part of you that longs to know what's around the corner, what's over the hill, what's beyond the edge. That part of you that knows there is more to life than what you have allowed yourself to live. That part of you that knows there is more to life than what you have allowed yourself to live. If you squint and stretch your eyes to the farthest margin, as if to peer over the edge of your own horizon, you will begin to wonder what lies beyond the rim of possibility you have set for yourself. You will hear the tireless crash and roar of wave after wave battering at your beach, crumbling belief into sand, dropping the shells of what no longer lives in you on the shore, and asking you over and over again, is the horizon you envision for yourself big enough to hold your dreams? And your heart knows the answer. Your heart knows when the life you live won't let you live your life. Your heart knows when the life you live won't let you live your life. Your heart knows when the tides of change come from the deep, deep sea, from the unknown depths in you that support an endless horizon. And then, on one clear day, you will stand on the shore and see for yourself all things possible. And then, on one clear day, you will stand on the shore and see for yourself all things possible. I truly believe that a lot of the work Art is doing and I'm doing in the world are helping people to expand that horizon and to give themselves permission to connect with those depths, the inner depths inside of you, that essence of you, that greater self that supports an endless horizon and that makes things possible for you that you wouldn't imagine from the small mind and from the small self. And the big step in doing that is learning to let go, to clear, to release the programming, the acquired and inherited programming that we've received along the way. So this process that Art guided you through is an amazing step to reconnecting with and living from your authentic self. And a quest, as we were talking about earlier, requires that of us. It's the quintessential skill of questing.
I really
This
like
idea
that
in there
poem
of
and
dropping, this idea of dropping the shells of what no longer lives in you on the shore is what we're currently doing here. The shells of what no longer live in you because you've acquired them. They're not yours, basically. So, yeah. So I'll turn it over to you, Art.
I love, yeah, no, I was going to say I love how evocative that poem is. And something that I think Nick and I want to be really clear about, having these huge horizons big enough for your heart doesn't mean it has to be anything dramatic to anybody else.
Exactly.
You know, it's just, are you living your authentic quest and your authentic heart's desire? There's plenty of old spiritual stories about great spiritual masters who are, you know, sweeping floors or whatever. And so it doesn't mean you have to do anything. That's the point. It's let yourself be guided.
Right.
And I remember a family that was real friendly with my family growing up. At one point, the mother had different kinds of work, a lot of civil service and stuff. And then she quit that, and she was a crossing guard, helping children cross the street. And my mom thought she was nuts, and she was out there in the weather and all that. And I go, but she loves it. And she's this very loving, in-control presence for these kids. I go, so it's good for the kids. And she loves it, and it is right for her. And my mom's a very perceptive woman, but she couldn't get it. You know, and for this woman, that was expanding her horizons. She didn't
Exactly.
want to be on the Oprah show. She loved walking kids across the street. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's, in fact, what often happens when people identify their authentic self. They realize that they don't have to go for the grand endorsed dreams. It's really about
Yeah.
living a life that's true to you. And one of the things that's been a little bit popular recently on the internet is the work of a nurse, and I don't remember her name right now, who works with people who are dying. And she's put, and you can look it up on the internet, the 5 regrets, top regrets of the dying. And there's something like, I wish I had kept in touch with my friends. I wish I had spoken my heart more, shared my feelings more. I wish I had allowed myself to be happier. The top regret, though, the number one regret of people on their deathbed is, I wish I had lived a life true to myself and not according to the expectations of others. And I think what Art's story points out is that that was a life that was true to her. And that's a more meaningful life than doing the epic thing that the world or others might want. And so I think when you clear out stuff and you get in touch with yourself, you may just find that your love is to be the best parent you can be, or to to be the best barber cutting hair that you can be. That's, in my mind, when you're really in tune with what you're about and who you are in the world. When you discover your crossing guard inside.
Somebody who studied energetic and
And I know for me, as I've gotten older,
Adam Shaw,
when I think in terms of...
Oh, go ahead. I think we had a delay there, but go ahead.
Art, I don't know. Your sound is cutting out to me.
Can you hear me?
I don't know. Okay. Yeah,
okay,
I'm not sure. I ended a sentence that I was talking, and then we kind of overlapped, and I think the sound is a little off right now. Yeah, so I was kind of ending that comment I was making about your inner crossing guard, and as I've gotten older, I've noticed that more often, whenever I think in terms of Adam Shaw. Okay, I'm going to let you talk now, because I think we're over-talking each other.
Hang on, I'm going to close down a window and see it. And again, I'm not sure why this is happening. Let me just close one window down. Maybe that'll help or something. Yeah, so we're coming up. We're going to be ending fairly soon. So a couple of things. If you have any questions, comments, requests, get them in that chat box right now. Because otherwise it'll be too late. And you will all have access to the recordings. If you want access to the slides, we can make that available too. And so you'll have a couple of Nick's poems to inspire you, amongst other things. Okay, everybody's been quiet in the chat box. Okay, so I think we should after the hour. So what would you like to say to finish up? And then I'll just do, when you're done, a little quick energy finish up to get people in a quick, good energy space.
Well, maybe I have a short poem I'll share as a last one. And I just wrote this about a week ago. It's called Life Dignified. And it explores this idea of connecting with our soul. So here it is, Life Dignified. Stay very quiet. Hide behind the fence that separates you from your own natural landscape. Angle your eye to look through the crack and spy on what is wild and free in you. Be attentive. Be an anthropologist of the soul. Write notes in the diary of your heart, carefully, meticulously, as if you will one day publish your findings in the archive of life and make known how the soul lives, its patterns and routines, its language, its rites of passage and modes of courtship, its longings and its learnings, and all that it loves. Let this notebook be your lesson in nobility, your guide to a life dignified by presence, a life lived as no other, wild, free, and truly your own. A life dignified by presence, your presence in your own life, a life dignified by presence, a life lived as no other, wild, free, and truly your own. So I'll
Wonderful.
turn it over to you, Art.
Okay, so I just want to do a quick energetic process, get everybody in a good place. And then if there are any questions, maybe we'd spend another 5 minutes. But people often tell me in my workshops they get kind of spacey and they don't feel like asking questions till later, which is fine. So the energetic work that we did isn't over when it's over. People process it for a day or more. So I just want to let people know while you're processing it, you'll probably feel really good. You may feel really tired. If you do feel tired, that's fine. It's what I call a good tired. It's like I want to curl up in a ball and take a nap kind of tired. If people are doing anything after they listen to this that requires alertness, such as driving, ask your unconscious mind and your miraculous self, your inner wisdom and spirit, to turn down the processing. Make sure you're naturally safe, naturally alert, and then have the intention that tonight when you sleep, and every night when we sleep, our unconscious mind reviews the day. It's an automatic process. That's one of the ways that we learn and why sometimes things make more sense the next day. Have the intention tonight and for the next 3 nights that as your unconscious mind reviews the day, your miraculous self works with it and works on what we did in this session, works on the meanings you got from the poetry, works on that ability to visualize you as this person who really has wonderful quests and somebody who is open to their spiritual guidance and the guidance of their inner wisdom in their quest. While you're sleeping, your miraculous self will infuse what happened for you and what you learned with your inner wisdom. It will infuse it with your spiritual information. It'll make it richer, wider, deeper, higher, more multidimensional, and more automatic in your life. This can happen easily and naturally while you sleep soundly and deeply and wake up in the morning feeling really good. So that, if you want, that can happen tonight and for the next 3 or 4 nights, just automatically while you sleep soundly and deeply. And everybody, you can just imagine right now that from the heart of the earth, energy comes up and grounds you. And grounds you means when your energy body's really solidly in your physical body. So one way to picture that is to pretend there's a point of light in your energy body for every cell in your physical body. And as the earth grounds you, every point of light pops in the cell it belongs in. And the earth is also sending up nurturing, validating, acknowledging, healing energy. And the earth is also pulling out of you programming and beliefs and other people's image that has you create too small of a horizon for your heart and opens up your ability to really quest for your heart's desires without necessarily even having to get them. And I want to thank everybody. And Hong put in a question. If you could clarify that question a bit more, Hong, not sure what you mean.
And while we're waiting,
it's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. While we're waiting for that clarification from Hong, I'd like to add into that what you were just saying, Art, about really grounding in your body and aligning your spirit with your physical body. That I think in our modern world, that's one of the most critical needs that our modern world tends to pull us out of our body into computers, into our phones, we're constantly pulled out. And it's a wise practice to regularly take the time to reconnect and bring your spirit home, call your spirit home. And in terms of questing, I think that we give ourselves much more likelihood to find courage and strength to quest when we have the two connected. So now we have maybe clarification?
Yeah, so, it's a great question, Hong, and I don't have time to give you a short answer. But one of the reasons to do these energy clearings is so you don't figure out who you are, but you start discovering it. So in my programs and in a different way, what Nick does with people, we try to help them clear the stuff that's not authentic to them. Then you start discovering who you are. I remember when I was 18 and I was really confused in my life, and I talked to a psychologist a couple times, and she said, Art, your problem is you're trying to figure out who you are. Go out, live life, engage life, in other words, quest. You'll discover who you are. So by clearing the unconscious programming, by clearing the energy, you emerge. And with a quest, there's no way to know that it's the right quest. All you can know is that your guidance says to go on it. And it may take you somewhere completely different. A lot of the most successful, loved, important people on the planet ended up somewhere completely different than where they were going. And that's the point of a quest, is there is no sureness. The only sureness you can have is that you feel like your heart, your spirit, your wisdom are saying, go this direction, and just know that it won't be a straight path. It will evolve. So what would you say, Nick?
Yeah, the question Hong is asking is, how do I know who I am, essentially? How do I know myself?
Right.
And I think that there is ultimately no one answer or even a complete answer to that in our life, because your self is greater than your conscious mind can ever comprehend. And so for me, it's about opening myself to the richness and fullness of this vast essence that I'm participating in and I'm going through life in. And I'm really, really learning more and more that my conscious self, my conscious mind, is the smallest, tiniest part of that. Yet it's the part that I know, it's where I live from, and so I get caught up in that. So I think the question, how do I know myself, is really about opening, as artists talking from the beginning, opening to the wisdom that lives within me and learning to trust that more and more and more. And not necessarily answering that question except with whatever seems to fit for the time being. But no, it's never going to be complete. It will never be complete. Our self, our essence, is greater than anything we can pin it down to.
Absolutely.
And whenever you try to pin it down, you're only going to get a slice of it. So I would say, Hong, be attentive to that inner self and the relationship, and learn to trust that place. Learn to find that connection and root yourself in that. Got another comment
answer,
here.
Nick, and I so agree. Oh, Josie said, I would like to thank you both for the wonderful webinar. I'm still somewhere up in the ether after the powerful meditation. Blessing to you both. Oh, you're very, very welcome.
Yes, thank you, Josie.
Exactly, Hong. Let go and let it flow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let go and let it flow. And I think part of the discovery, well, one of the beautiful things about holding a quest is that a quest gives permission to make mistakes. A lot of times with a goal, if you make a mistake, it's a failure. You now have taken yourself further away from the goal. Since the quest is really discovery, it reframes the whole idea of mistakes and missteps and backtracks. All of that becomes part of a greater experience. And so even in connecting with ourselves, if we get it wrong, that's part of the learning. That's part of the discovery. That's part of what makes a quest, I think, so powerful.
There's a wonderful There's a wonderful quote, and I'm forgetting who said it right now, but it's something to the effect of, to seek the company of people who seek the truth, avoid the company of people who think they found it.
That's great. I love it. Well, Art, we're a little bit over our
Well,
end time
you know,
here.
I want to thank Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So I want to thank everybody for putting up with our technical difficulties, and we're so glad you stayed with us. It's a real honor.
Yes,
You had a
absolutely.
wonderful group energy, and Nick, so enjoyed doing this with you, and really got a lot out of what you had to say.
Thank you, and me too. As you know, it's proving to be, as I imagine it would be, a wonderful experience, and I hope that and plan that we will do more of these.
Absolutely.
And for all of
Well,
you
thank
out
you,
there
everybody, and
who've been with
the
us, thank you. Thank you for staying with us and for your participation.
and you're
So,
welcome, Terry, and a special hi to my friend Deborah from Buenos Aires. Glad you could make it.
so we'll be signing off here. So